Well, I think we will go ahead and get started. Welcome to this webinar on the scholarship program of the Community Foundation of Northeast Iowa. My name is Amy Wiles. I'm the Director of Scholarship Impact here at the Foundation. And I'm so glad you decided to join us. I am hoping that this time will be informative and helpful to you, whether you be a student who's applying right now, or a parent, or a school counselor, or really anyone who is helping to support students who are looking for scholarships to continue education. My plan is to give just a little bit of information about our scholarships and our scholarship program in general, and then to actually walk you through the application process and go online, see what an application looks like, and give a few tips so that when people begin that process, they kind of know what they're getting into. And then I did allow a lot of time at the end for people to ask questions that they might have specifically. So let's just dive right in. The Community Foundation of Northeast Iowa is the largest independent scholarship provider in Iowa outside of colleges and universities. We oversee 150 scholarship funds, but some of those funds award multiple scholarships. So we literally have hundreds of scholarship opportunities. Each year, we award over $500,000 in scholarships, with an average of about $2,200 per scholarship. Most of our scholarships are one-year scholarships, but some of them are two-year scholarships, and some of them are four-year scholarships as well. So lots of opportunities to help students with financial aid. You might be wondering who is applying for all of these scholarships. Well, applicants come from all 23 counties associated with our foundation. Most of our scholarships are for graduating high school seniors, but we also have scholarships for college students and for adult students who are returning to school. So kind of a wide variety of students are applying for these scholarships. Next, you might be wondering who is eligible for all of these scholarships. Well, it kind of depends on the criteria of the scholarships themselves. We have some scholarships that are for financial needs, students who have a higher financial need. There are some scholarships that recognize students' achievements, including academic achievements or extracurricular activities or community service. Some scholarships support certain academic pursuits, including but not limited to nursing and engineering or education, et cetera. In other words, scholarships for students who are pursuing certain majors. And we also have scholarships for certain demographics, including Native American students, African American students, and women. And every year we have around 400 students or so apply. And that is happening right now. Our application is open, and the deadline for applications is March 8th at 8 p.m. Central Time. And I'm going to say that again, March 8th at 8 p.m. Central Time. We don't accept applications after that deadline. So that's an important date and time to mark down. Once the applications are submitted, they are reviewed by a number of selection committees, and we have different selection committees throughout the region. And that happens in April, towards the end of March and into April. An announcement of scholarship recipients are made in May, towards the beginning of May, starting with high school awards ceremonies. But if a student is not in high school, or if there's no awards ceremony, then an email is sent from us to the recipients by mid-June, and all applicants are notified by mid-July. So that's just a little bit about our scholarships in general. But the big question is, how do I apply for a scholarship? So I want to spend a little time really digging into that. Whenever I talk to a student and they ask about applications, the first thing that I advise them to do is to look at our eligibility checklist. And so I'm going to share my screen. And can everybody see our website? I'm going to trust that unless somebody says no, y'all can see this pretty well. So close this up a bit. So once you go to our website, this is our home page. We have a tab for scholarships specifically, and you would go to scholarship opportunities. This is a great page that gives a lot of information, a lot of great links for how to apply. But the first thing I advise people to do is go to the scholarship eligibility checklist. And the reason is because we know that it takes some time, it takes some effort to apply for scholarships. And so we want to make sure that it is worth students' time. And so by clicking on the eligibility checklist, this is just a quick questionnaire really to see if students might be eligible for some of our scholarships. And you can see the first section here is for students in high school, and it asks just a number of questions. The first one's very general about, are you graduating from any of the following schools? And gives a list. And then the questions get a little bit more specific. Are you graduating from any of the following schools and meet a specific requirement? And so on and so forth. If you say yes to any of these questions, then just put a little check in this box. If you check any of these boxes on the eligibility checklist, then it is worth your time filling out our application, because you could be eligible, you will be eligible for a scholarship or eligible for consideration. And again, here, as I scroll down the bottom, this section is for those who have already graduated from high school. So again, as I said, we do have scholarships for college students and adult students who are returning to school. Okay. So after the scholarship eligibility checklist, let's go back here. If you click yes on any of those questions, then you should apply. How does that happen? Well, first, let me explain that we don't have multiple applications for all of these hundreds of scholarships. We have one common application. By filling out this one application, we are able to gather all the information we need. And then once you submit that application, we connect you with any and all eligible scholarship opportunities. And so this is our way of really trying to make the application process easy for students and less time consuming. They give us the information, we filter into the opportunities that people might be considered for. Whenever I sit down to apply for anything, really, I like to know what I need up front. And so this section on how to apply is really helpful. Before you apply, it's good to know that you're going to need basic information about who you are, your name, your address, birth date, etc. It's also good to have, when you're sitting down, a summary of your extracurricular experiences. So activities in school and out of school, any volunteer experience. If you had a job, I would also add any awards that you received. You're also going to need a transcript of your academic record. This can be an unofficial transcript, which is much easier to obtain. It doesn't have to be official, can be unofficial, and usually you can obtain that just by contacting the school. There is an essay portion of our scholarship that addresses the following. What are your educational goals and the steps that you'll take to achieve those goals? What are your career goals and the steps you'll take to achieve them? And why did you choose those goals? And then a letter of recommendation. Now, to be clear, you don't need the actual letter yet. All you need is the name of who's going to write the letter and their email address. Okay, so not the actual letter, just the reference and their contact. And then lastly, and this is optional, it's not required, but a copy of your student aid report, and specifically that top page, we don't need the whole thing, just the top page of that report that shows the EFC, or the estimated family contribution. This report, as you may know, is generated after you fill out the FAFSA. Again, on our website, there's a link that you can click on that takes you right there. Again, it's not required, but we do strongly encourage that you submit it because this is the only way to be considered for scholarships that have a financial need component. So after you've obtained all of that information, you're ready to apply for the scholarship. You click right here and it will take you here to this portion of our website. And you will create an account. And just to be clear, I had somebody ask me, does my child need to create this account, or can I create it for them? No, the student needs to create the account, just like the student needs to fill out the application. I know parents want to be helpful and supportive, and that's good. That's encouraged. I'm a parent too, but at the end of the day, we are asking the students to fill this out for themselves. So yes, the student creates an account, and I'm going to walk you through what that looks like. I'm going to click over to our sandbox site, our kind of play site, rather than the real site, so I don't mess anything up in the application process. But let's walk through this again. So first thing, you'll pick an email address, and this will be your login name. I highly encourage people to not use their school email. Use a personal email that you're going to check regularly. And this is because we are not only going to be communicating with applicants through the end of the school year, we'll be communicating with them all throughout the summer, even up into August, up into the beginning of the school year. And if students have received a 2-year or 4-year scholarship, we're going to be communicating with them for years. So pick a personal email that you check regularly, and just also be sure to check that spam email box too. So let's say that Amy student is going to apply here, and then you create your password. Okay. Create new account. Just that easy. Type in your name, and that email again. And then your phone number and address. Okay. Next, you click that password. Okay. Confirm it. Oh, messed up somewhere. Hold on here. All right. Just that easy. You will receive an email from the system about your request. Again, we know that sometimes these automatic emails go to people's junk folders, so be sure to check your junk folder, but check that email, make sure that the account was confirmed. Receive the email and you continue. And here you are, you're ready to go, okay? And so, at this point, you would be ready to start the application process. I'm going to pause here and just ask, I can't really see the chat box, but Jake, do we have any questions so far that we need to address right now, or?
Nope, you're good to go, Amy, so we can keep moving ahead.
Keep on going. Okay, well, I see a few, but we'll be sure to address those at the end. Okay, so we're ready to apply. Our application this year is creatively called Common Application 2023. So it's pretty clear. That's the application that you're filling out. You just simply click on the blue button. If for some reason you have already created an account in our system, maybe you applied for a scholarship last year and now you're applying for a new one, you would need to click on this apply button up here. This screen would look a little different too, but let's just assume you're a new user. Okay, and so you'd start applying. And this is what our application looks like right here. Okay, just walks you through the questions. We collect all of this information so that we can connect students with scholarship opportunities. That's why we're gathering the data. I would just point out something here that's a little hidden this year, but might be a real benefit to some folks. That we do have an opt-in text notification option. And so if you are someone who really likes to get texts for reminders rather than emails, I would encourage you to click here and opt into our text messaging option, okay? But here we go, looking through, just starts asking some questions here, and you just fill it out as you go. I would say that sometimes it kind of unnerves people because there are some questions that if you answer a certain way, a box will pop up with a new question. So for example, one of the questions on our applications is, are there veterans in your family? If I say no, then nothing changes and I keep going. If I say yes, then a new box pops up. It's nothing wrong or right about the application. It just means that if there's yes, or if there are certain answers to questions, then we need a little bit more information. So just be aware that that could happen. Also looking through, there are places where you do need to upload a file. So for example, we ask, what is your GPA? And then, like I said, we ask for that transcript to upload. You click on upload, you choose a file from your computer. I'm gonna choose, what did I find? Unofficial transcript. And then you just upload it, okay? If you need it, if you made a mistake or need to delete it, you just click on the delete file button, okay? Scrolling down, you can see there's different majors here. I would say here with the financial aid information, this is where we ask about the FAFSA. You'll notice that we ask, most of the scholarships administered by our foundation have a financial need component. Do you want to submit a copy? This is optional. You can click no. If you click no, then the box won't change. If you click yes, then you'll notice a box appears, and this is where you upload the student aid report, okay? Let's see. So going down here, this is where, just quickly again, I talked about you don't need the reference letter, but you need the name of the reference provider and their email address. You'd click in the email address here. Well, let's see here. And click compose. I'm going to put reference needed, okay? And then you just type the email to the reference provider. The student is asking the reference provider at this point to submit a letter of recommendation. Please send a great letter. I would recommend maybe wording it a little bit more professionally than that. But once the email's ready, you click send, okay? At that point, the reference provider will get the email from the student. They will also get an automatic email from us with a link that lets them upload that letter. So really all the student needs to do is just write that letter to the reference asking, will you please write me a letter of recommendation? You can only submit one reference provider. If you were to do this and then delete this and put in a different one, then the first person would not get the link, okay? Only one reference provider. Now, this does take time. Students may not be able to do it all in one sitting, and that's fine. When you scroll down all the way down to the bottom, there is a save application option. Let's save this one. All right, and it tells you everything you still need to do. Okay. We've saved it. Let's come over here. Let's sign out, okay? And you can come back later. I want to show you what it looks like when you actually do submit an application. So let's log into somebody else. Another student who I created earlier today. Okay, so we've logged back in. We've logged back in as Mike's student. He filled out the application, wasn't quite ready to submit it, came back. And so you'd see your dashboard now look like this. You can see here edit application, and we're ready to go. So I filled out this application earlier. I do a little double check here, sent my letter of reference. Everything's looking good. And when I'm ready, I would sign my name. Whoop. Still did that wrong. And then the date, submit application. Oh, third-party email that you sent. Whoops, didn't send that third-party email, okay? So compose the email. So if you do skip a question completely, if you do forget a step, the system will remind you, okay? Send that email, submit application. It's thinking. All right. And so your application has been submitted. You should also get a confirmation email. And so I would check both places. If you do not see this, if you do not see that email, you need to check and make sure it was submitted. Don't assume, look for that confirmation. But here's the other thing. You get a list right away of all the scholarships that you will be considered for. Based on your answers, you're eligible for the following, okay? So these are all the scholarships that my student is going to be considered for. But also, and this is something to look for, here at the very bottom, there are 2 other scholarships that Mike's student might qualify for, but these applications, these specific scholarships have supplemental questions. And so you click continue, and it will take you immediately to these specific essays. So for instance, for this scholarship, the Bruce Eilers Music Scholarship, I would need to complete a short essay that outlines my plans to continue study in music, okay? Now, I want to be clear about supplemental questions. You do not have to answer these. Your application is already submitted, and that big long list of scholarships that you just saw before the supplemental questions, you're going to be considered for that. That's done, okay? These scholarships, these supplemental questions are optional, but if you don't answer them, you won't be considered for that particular scholarship, okay? So let's put this, I'm going to sing. Again, probably not the best essay. I might spend more time on it, but for our purposes, okay? And then click submit application. That means that that application for that scholarship submitted. And then the grant wheeler, describe how your commitment to running and your own personal faith in Jesus have impacted your life. Again, you can choose to answer this. You might decide, no, this is actually not for me, and you can move on. If you do decide to move on, then you can abandon request, okay? That is the only time I would ever say abandon request, okay? And so here you go. And so you're finished. This is your dashboard. You can see all the active requests. Again, all these scholarships that you're being considered for. And that's really about it. You have submitted your application. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here so I can see people a bit more. A couple other quick tips, and then I'll open it up to your questions. I would encourage people, if possible, to use Chrome or Firefox when you're online rather than another browser. Those are the most friendly to our system. I would also be sure to tell you that sometimes when you use cut and paste in our application, it kind of does some funny things. And so it's always best to just go ahead and type in the information. Better safe than sorry. Um, but those are just a couple other tips. The other thing that I'd say, and I'm going to share my screen again just to give you one more resource, is in the process, if you have, let's see if I can go back here. If in the process you find yourself kind of having lots of questions, you can always reach out to me, always reach out to our office. That's why we're here, to help you through this process. But also we have a great frequently asked questions section with lots of answers and guides and helps already based on what people typically call and ask us about. So I would also direct you there just as a guide. All right. I know that that was a lot of information, a lot of information, but I hope it gave you a little bit of an idea of what you're walking into, and if anything, made it maybe a little bit less ambiguous and a little less scary. But I'll open it up now and say, what questions do you have for me that would be helpful? And I'll kind of check the chat here.
Amy, I had one directed to me about if you did not graduate high school in the United States, is there a problem with that, or what would be different about that situation?
It's a great question. I think it would depend. I would still direct even that student to the eligibility checklist. I would say that we might have a scholarship opportunity that is not necessarily high school graduate location dependent. So for example, we have scholarships for college students, and they aren't necessarily tied to a specific high school in Iowa. They're more tied to that you're going to attend a college, or you're going to attend or you're going to major in a particular field. And so again, if you say yes to any of those boxes on the eligibility checklist, I would encourage you to apply. We don't have kind of a standing restriction about if you didn't graduate from a high school in the US, you can't apply.
Thank you, Amy, for your explanation. That's really helpful because I'm born and raised in Haiti, and I study dentistry and graduate in Haiti as a dentist. Because I was studying hospitality management in college community, Hawkeye Community College. And I just wondered, like, there was a long time while I was here and you announced it. I used to live in Cedar Falls, but now I'm living in Waterloo. And I just wonder that I have a dream that to, because I know there's a lot of people that who have a need for hygienists. So I think this kind of opportunity for me, if I have like a scholarship so that I can, study hygienist so that I can help the people, taking care of the teeth. So I just wonder, like, I already submitted the application, but I don't know so far because some of the criteria I can't, I can't answer them. But I do have some of paper because I don't know, because I have some other question that I can, ask. So thank you.
Right. Oh, good. I'm glad it was helpful. And yeah. Anyone can apply. Anyone can fill out an application. Anybody can submit it. I think the real question, like I said, is it worth your time? And the eligibility checklist really, I think, can answer that. Yeah. Great question.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a question because while I'm serving people like a Haitian community, and Waterloo because I saw somebody who was suffering with the infection tip because he has to plan for a doctor, a dentist clinic, but because all the clinic has appointment, you have to have an appointment. If you not have an appointment, you can't do anything. So I mean, I could not do anything because I did not have a license here to have him out. So that was that was really hurt me so that I could help him, but I could not. So
yeah, thanks for sharing that.
yeah, to me, it's a great opportunity. I can help other people who need. So
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great. Any other questions? I see one in the chat that said, is there any advantage to applying before the deadline? Not as far as selection goes. Our selection committees see all of the applications at the same time. If you turn in your application early, it's not weighted as preferential in the selection. Now, that being said, I would not wait to the last minute to turn in your application. For one, I do think that it's helpful to give your reference provider a few days to actually write the reference letter. We do extend the deadline for the reference provider to turn in a letter, but it's not all that long past the application deadline itself. It's just a couple days. And so, I know that if I want to write a letter of reference to somebody, I'd appreciate more than a 2-day notice, And so, and also turning in that application a bit early can really make sure that there's no problems with the system, that you get that confirmation email. Something that can be kind of heartbreaking is if a student waits to the last minute and then for some reason they don't get that confirmation email. And, a week passes, the application deadline has passed, and it's too late. We can't help then. So there is benefit from that angle of turning in your application early, just to make sure that everything's in place, right? Everything's ready to go. Yeah. Any other questions? I was a teacher, so I know that how to wait out students to get them to talk, but I certainly won't do that to you or force questions if you don't have any. But I will say that as you walk through the process or as you talk to people who are applying, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to email me or call us to reference our website or to watch this webinar again. We really are here to help. We want students to be successful. We want to be as supportive as we possibly can. So please know that we're here. Please know that we're here to help. And thank you. Thank you again for coming and attending. Oh, yep. This session was recorded. And we'll make it available to people as well. Yeah. All right, I'll stick.
How will you make it available? Will you send it out or put it on your site, or what will you send it out to all who registered?
Great question. I'm kind of watching Jake, who's in charge of our marketing, kind of answer that. We're certainly going to post it on our website. I know that we have been talking about maybe also emailing that link out to a few schools and counselors, some scholarship advocates that we work with. But I think, we will certainly make it available on our website.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. I'll kind of stick around a little bit until people leave, just in case anybody else has a question or two for me personally. But have a great evening, and thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Best of luck, Wilkin.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. There's no more questions. I'll go ahead and say goodbye. Bye, everybody.